What's happening, guys? In today's video, I've got a very special one for all of you. In this video, we're going to be driving against Formula 1 driver Zhou Guanyu. Yes, Zhou Guanyu was doing some open lobbies with Haydon Gullis, and I decided to join to see how I would fare up against a real Formula 1 driver on F122. So here's some of the highlights from that, as we've got 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go for the first race at France. It was open lobbies, so I was expecting some absolute madness to happen. However, I wasn't expecting it to happen this quickly. But yeah, we go into turn 1. There's already stuff going down behind me. I'm trying to navigate my way through the pack. You've got Nudie who pushes me a little bit onto the curb there, almost spinning me out, but luckily we don't actually spin out, and I'm trying to get past him again. He goes a bit deep into this corner, and yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to navigate through him and through the guys ahead so I can try and catch up to the guys up ahead. I think Zhou is already ahead of us, or maybe he's behind us. I'm not entirely sure. We do have Haydon behind us as well, so shout out to Haydon. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. There was Haydon, there was myself, there was a few other creators as well, as I'm getting pushed out wide by the AlphaTauri. Not sure what he's doing there. We go into this corner and yeah, he takes me out. Bit frustrating, but yeah, we move, and Zhou is in AI mode. What a fraud. I've just realized, what an absolute fraud. Why is he in AI mode? This guy's supposed to be a Formula 1 driver, and yet here he is, not even driving on the game. Well, absolutely terrible. But yeah, I will leave Haydon's link and everyone else who appeared in this video in the description as well. So shout outs to all of them. Yeah, at this point now, there's not really much I can do. It's just trying to recover what I lost from clashing with that AlphaTauri. We're going to try and overtake him as quickly as possible here. I want to dispatch him, because if he's not really that good with side-to-side battles, then that means it's going to be quite a tough time to get past him. So going into the penultimate corner, we send it down the inside. We have the better line, and we get past him. He tries to go around the outside for the final corner, but that's not really feasible when it comes to France. But he does get a better exit than I do from the final corner. So we're still side by side at this point, but I knew turn 1, we've got to absolutely send it to make sure that we get past him, and we do. And now we move on to later on in lap 2, trying to get past Space Ghost here. I was thinking about sneaking up the inside there, but I thought maybe he was going to turn in and we would both be taken out once again. So I wait until the next corner, we go around the outside, and we make the move stick, and we have Zhou Guanyu, who isn't in AI mode anymore, right in front of us. We need to try and catch him up and see how quick he is on the F1 game. So right now, lap 2, we're about 2.7 seconds behind, and then as we move on to later on in lap 3, we are roughly 2.5. So we are catching up slowly, but Zhou is actually pretty quick as GB takes a spin in the Aston Martin. I feel so bad for him there. I'm not sure if he actually collided with Zhou or if he just spun in his own, but yeah, that was pretty much his race done in terms of fighting with Zhou. And now we're 2.9 seconds ahead, so I don't know where he managed to gain this time, as Alex Gillen goes quickest with a 32.7 at the time. But yeah, Zhou is pretty quick at this game, and you're going to see that a lot throughout this video as Mr. Dale completely cuts the corner. I think he got taken out and then he had to cut the corner to finish the race. But yeah, Mr. Dale, I was in a chat with Mr. Dale, and man, that was so much fun chatting with him whilst racing with Zhou. But sadly, for the first race, Zhou one-ups me as he finishes ahead. And now we move on to Abu Dhabi for the next one. We have 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go, starting in P7 this time. So hopefully we can have a bit of a better race than we did at France. First corner Abu Dhabi is always sketch. As you can see, Woods pushes somebody off. We have Fonze, I think that is, as well, in the Alpine or the Williams, one of the 2 cars, who went a little bit wide as well. We managed to overtake him. We managed to overtake Gal as well, who's also pretty quick. By the way, these were preset setups, so nobody was allowed to have a custom setup in this. So we all had the same setup. We all had the same equal cars. So this was purely driver skill in this one. So yeah, this is where you get to find out how quick you are compared to everyone else, I would say. But yeah, anyways, moving on. We've got the AlphaTauri ahead of us. We've got E Woods, who is Ethan, who ends up having a massive lock up there. Not sure what happened. We get past the AlphaTauri by going around the outside in the chicane, which was I wasn't expecting that move to happen at that point, but it ended up happening. And yeah, we move on to Haydon Gullis going absolutely wide into that corner, which allows us to make the overtake. And now we're up into P3 with Ethan already having a 3-second time penalty. So all I need to do here is just play my cards right, and we could win this race. We do have Nudie in first place as well. And I think the way that they had set everything up is if you were in the top 3 in the championship, then you would be moved to the back and you had to start towards the back and try and make your way up the field. But anyways, Nudie New goes wide at the final corner. We sniff an opportunity here, so we try to go around the outside. We leave him enough space, but he goes over the curb. He knocks into us, and yeah, he spins us out. This could have been the race that we won. As you can see, Zhou Guanyu goes past us. Alex Gillen goes past us. GB goes past us. Everyone is going past us at this time. And yeah, sadly, we ended up getting taken out. And nothing really happens here other than us re-overtaking the AlphaTauri that we took over earlier on in the race. I think it was on lap 1. So not the best race again. We're going to lose out to Zhou again. But that wasn't our fault, and I don't think the one at France was necessarily our fault as well. But man, catching up to Zhou is a pretty hard task, I will say. Especially with preset setups as well, as the AlphaTauri thinks about going around the outside there. But I'm pretty confident when it comes to this corner, so I get on the throttle as soon as I can, and the traction's just so much better for me than it was for him. We keep the position, and we actually end up finishing in P7 after penalties behind Zhou Guanyu. So once again, pretty much finishing right behind Zhou Guanyu in one of these races. We need to beat him, so let's see what happens in the next one. We have Silverstone this time, once again starting in P7. Hopefully we can have a better race here. We have 5 red lights, and lights out, and away we go. Getting a pretty good start until we get a little bit of wheel spin there. I was having a lot of trouble with wheel spin. I don't know if that was due to the tire pressures or if it was just my bad skill. Probably a skill issue, to be honest with you guys. But we made the overtake on, well, we tried to make the overtake on Michi, but he sends it around the outside. He's got the inside line for this corner, so it's going to be a better for him. So hopefully we can get the traction down. We do. I believe he had a collision with GB, a slight one, which kind of set him offline. So that's a bit unfortunate for him. We have GB, we have Space Ghost, we have Zhou in front of him as well, and I believe we have Haydon and Nudie New once again up at the front in the Alpine cars. So yeah, let's try and get with Zhou and see if we can actually have a battle with a Formula 1 driver on F122. We have Mr. Dale behind us as well. We've got Space Ghost and GB going side by side into Cops. We have myself and Dale, Red Bull and Mercedes, going side by side through Cops. There actually isn't any crashes this time. It just means that myself and Dale are clear of Lewis and Max, as we're still going side by side through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, taking a better line than Dale, meaning that we get to keep the position. And now we're trying to turn that defense into offense, going past Space Ghost here. Zhou is pretty far up already, so we need to make these moves happen here as we have a little bit of a collision with Dale. He's fine there until Space Ghost turns into him going into Stowe, and I can have a little bit of breathing room now that Dale's Space Ghost have sort of been dispatched. We catch up to GB, going through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, taking much better lines than him. He seems to be a little bit offline, a little bit unsettled when it comes to Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, probably due to the fact that we're using preset setups. We're going purple in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. We pass GB, and now we have Zhou Guanyu ahead of us. We need to catch him up, guys. We've already lost to him twice, I think, by this point, so we need to try and one-up him in this race. So let's see what we can do against Zhou Guanyu. Zhou looking for the move there on Haydon. Doesn't quite get the traction to be able to get it. Nudie New's kind of getting away as well. I believe he's roughly about half a second to a second ahead of Haydon. As we go fastest with a 29.5, we managed to catch up to Zhou and Haydon through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, probably the strongest point of the track for us, which, to be honest, usually isn't the case. I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe we're just driving a bit better because of Formula 1 drivers in the lobby with us. We're going purple in Sector 2 once again, just showing how good our Sector 2 was compared to everyone else's. And we're just behind Zhou now, so we're going to try and make the move. And going into the final couple of corners, we've got Haydon, we've got Nudie. They're just following each other now, which is making it quite difficult to get past them. We get the traction down, but it's just not enough when the other guys ahead are also using no assists. I believe Zhou isn't using any assists. He's, again, pretty good at this game, as we do a 29.4, which does get usurped by Alex Gillen at some point, who does a 29.3. So sadly, we don't get the fastest lap in this race, but at least we are behind, battling for the win against Haydon, against Nudie New, and against Zhou Guanyu. So yeah, moving on to the end of lap 4 here, we're going towards Stowe. Haydon is looking for the move on his teammate. He goes around the outside. Zhou's looking for any sort of opportunity to overtake the both of them. This is the corner where we had the through goes Hamilton moment. So let's see if we get the through goes Zhou moment as well. And Haydon actually makes a similar mistake to what Charles or Perez did, sorry. And Zhou actually almost gets his own through goes Hamilton moment on the game, but sadly he wasn't able to overtake Nudinu at the same time. But him battling slightly with Haydon, they both go wide. I'm able to go around the outside the turn 2 against Haydon. I was thinking about diving it down the inside of Zhou, but again, just on natural less aggressive driving style, not really paying us dividends here in these open lobbies. We do get the traction around Haydon, and Haydon has a 2-second penalty, so he's now out of contention when it comes to winning this particular race. As we move on again towards Stowe, Zhou Guanyu, he has a lot of ERS. Me and Nudi just don't have any ERS to match him, and he overtakes Nudinu around Stowe for the final time around Silverstone. And yeah, Zhou Guanyu ends up winning this race. Nudinu has a 2-second time penalty, so once again we're going to be finishing right behind Zhou Guanyu, and that is 3 in a row. I don't know how I'm losing so much to Zhou right now, but we are getting absolutely bodied in terms of this, but we're still making up some good points, so we're not that far behind in the championship, as the winner was Zhou Guanyu, followed by myself and GB. As we move on to Austria now, once again finding myself in a pretty good position here. It's the final lap. Only Haydon is ahead of me. As we look to make the move going into turn 3, we brake slightly early so that we can have DRS. We were slightly behind Haydon, who's trying to get DRS on us. We got the DRS instead, and luckily we did, because we didn't have a lot of ERS to play with here. And because Haydon had a lot more, we have a little bit of collision there. He was able to keep up with us even with DRS, and he was able to stick it around the outside, and we're still going side by side at this point. Going into turn 5, he's going to have an advantageous position here because he is on inside line, which means at some point we're going to have to back out, which we do. Going into turn 6, we go around the corner. Don't know what happens here, and we just spin. We didn't even hit the curb like I thought I did initially. We just spun. I don't know if I think it may have been the dirty air. And once again, we get passed by everyone, including Zhou Guanyu. However, something happens here. I don't know who took him out, but as you can see, Zhou Guanyu got sent to the Shadow Realm. I believe it was Alex Gillen, because I remember Zhou saying to Haydon in the Discord call that Alex was a pretty dirty driver, which I find absolutely hilarious. But moving on to Spa, we've got 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go. Starting in P3 this time. This is the highest we've started, as we get a massive amount of wheel spin there, which allows the guys behind us to send it. Luckily, we get some good traction coming out of the first corner, as Mr. Dale in the Red Bull already making his way into P1. At this point in time, I was like, there's no way we're going to allow Dale to win a race in one of these whilst I haven't won a race yet. So I was full sweat mode here. I was hoping that Mitchie sent it into this next corner on Dale, but he doesn't. So learning from my mistakes in the previous races, I learned that, you know, in these lobbies, especially with this batch of people, you need to be super aggressive. So we get a warning there, but I was like, no, I'm not waiting behind him this time. We're going to send it down the inside here. Luckily, Mitchie doesn't turn into us. We get the better line because we're on the inside. We get better traction. And now we're up into P2, following behind Mr. Dale. On the 3rd lap now, coming out of turn 1 into El Rouge and Radion. We've got DRS. We've got the ERS to play with here, just a little bit anyway. And we're going to use absolutely all of it to get past Dale. Dale doesn't have any ERS here. We've got the DRS. We go around the outside here. He tries to make the defense happen, but it doesn't. We just carry way too much speed around that corner for him to make any sort of defensive move, and we're in first place. We go to lap 4 now, up El Rouge and Radion once again. Mr. Dale and Ethan behind him, having 2 seconds of penalties, and as you may notice, there's an AlphaTauri behind him as well. So yeah, it's a Mercedes versus 3 Red Bulls, as Mr. Dale tries to go around the outside here with his DRS. We take the inside line. We're defending with our lives here. We collide a little bit into 5th gear, taking the inside line once again, and we get the traction and we make the defensive move happen. So yeah, sweat mode activated in this one, and we were all going all out here. Dale now has 4 seconds of time penalty. So in terms of the actual win, he's completely out of contention, but we still got Jan behind us, who doesn't have any pens at this moment. As we move on to lap 5, I look behind us and look at what I see. I see 3 Red Bulls pretty much ready to make the move on me. We collide a little bit with Mr. Dale, I believe. We've got Ethan on our inside/outside line right there, and we make the defense happen, but Ethan is still there, and he goes around the outside. We lock up a little bit, which means that we're not carrying as much speed. That allows Ethan to stay around the outside. He's got the inside line into No Name. He pushes us wide. He makes the overtake happen, and this is where I realized, hold on a second here, These guys have 2 seconds of penalties. Jan doesn't, so as long as we don't let him pass, then we'll be fine. But then Jan does get a penalty. So now I'm thinking, well, hold on. All I need to really do is just let these guys pass me. And as long as I can stay within 2 seconds as we get our second warning of the race, we'll be fine. So I play the smart card here. I let Jan and Ethan go by. Mr. Dale tries to make the overtake as well, but we weren't letting that happen. I was finishing in front of Mr. Dale on track. I didn't care what happened here. But yeah, we let the other 2 go and we just stay behind them and we're gonna get the win at this point. So yeah, just going towards the final corner now. We know Dale's gonna send it at some point. So we move to the bus stop chicane. He absolutely sends it. So we take a different line to what we usually are, tight around the final corner. However, it was just enough, and we finally win a race in this open lobby. So there's a boatload of points, and I do believe this does put me in the top 3 in the championship for the final race. Zhou Guanyu finishing in P7. So we finally beat Zhou in one of these races, but it's still like 3-1. But yeah, as I said, top 3, usually this would mean we get put to the back, but because it's the final race, we've got 1-shot quali, and as you can see, there's a boatload of people who are in contention to win this championship. Zhou, GB, Woods, Gillen, myself, Haydon, Gal, all down to this final race. We have 1-shot quali. All we really need to do at this point is just not bottle 1-shot qualifying here. But you guys know me, BushiAntz, and we pretty much invalidate before we even get to the first corner. So yeah, that's pretty much our championship done. So we need to try and make sure that we get through the field if we can. We've got 5 red lights around Brazil. Lights out and away we go. Starting from last, can we actually potentially win the championship from this point? You'll have to wait to find out. We go into the first corner quite cautiously here. We have Harry in the Alpine, who was in a call with us as well. I think it was me, Harry, Gal, and Mr. Dale. So we all communicated at this point. We've got Jean, who spun around, got collided with someone. That's pretty much his race over in terms of the championship. I'm not sure where he was in there, but I think he was one of the people who could have won, depending on what happened with the rest of us. We go wide going into turn 4, and it's just not looking good for us. We've got Harry trying to go down the inside of Mr. Dale. He takes a horrible line through turn 6, so I thought maybe we could go for it. But it would have been 3 wide. It would have been hard to do. So we go around the outside instead. For the inside line for the next corner, I believe this is turn 8 or turn 9. And we almost make the overtake happen. But Harry had some pretty good traction there. And yeah, he managed to defend from us. So fair play to Harry at this point for defending against us at this position. I do believe that Zhou is one of the lead runners here. I believe Alex as well is also quite high up. So those 2 are probably the best chance to win the whole thing right now. GB is pretty high up. I think he's towards the mid pack. We've got myself, we've got Dale, we've got Gal as well, who are not like super high up in the runnings right now. So yeah, at this moment of time, it's mainly between, I believe, Haydon, Alex, Gillen, and Zhou Guanyu himself. So yeah, we're having a battle with Harry here. We're colliding with him. He's just not letting us pass. He's doing everything he can to defend from us getting past him. Go to turn 4. He actually sends it there, which means we have to go wide. He actually does a Max Verstappen on us. And yeah, he's still up our inside, well, outside at this point, going into turn 6. So we try and get as best of line as we can. We go wide. He goes for the switchback, and he sends it into the next corner. And Harry is doing everything he can to try and make sure that we don't catch up to Mr. Dale, who's right in front of us. We're still battling with Harry. He's still sniffing. He goes for another send as well, but we turn in. Dale getting absolutely taken out by my teammate. So at this point, I said to Dale, I will take my teammate out if I can catch him up. And on lap 4, going into lap 5, we do exactly that. However, it was a pretty poor attempt at taking someone out. So I'm going to let you guys watch this real quick. So yeah, as you can see, that was probably the worst attempt at taking someone out that I've ever seen. Our race was obviously over at this point, so I was just trying to have some fun. We tried to take Ethan or Harry out towards the end of that race there. We finished in P12. But as you can see, Zhou Guanyu actually finished 6 tenths ahead of Alex Gillen, which means Zhou Guanyu actually won the Open Lobby Championship. So yeah, fair play to Zhou. He is pretty quick on F122, so enough respect for him. He clearly puts in quite a lot of hours into the game. It was a lot of fun driving with an actual Formula 1 driver on the game just to see how good he would be, and I had a lot of fun. So shout out once again to Haydon for making that happen. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to smash the like button if you're still watching at this point. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in my next video.